The struggle to start. How many times have you looked at a goal, a dream, an ambition, and said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many times have you wanted to change your life, but something held you back? Maybe you've wanted to start a business. Maybe you've wanted to get in shape. Maybe you've wanted to learn a new skill, write a book, or travel the world. But instead of taking the first step, you hesitate. Why? Because starting is hard. The ancient Greeks understood this struggle. They knew that the hardest part of any journey is simply beginning. That's why they said, "Archi emishi pandos." The beginning is half of the whole. It means that the most difficult, most important part of anything you do is just taking that first step. Once you do, you've already conquered half the battle. But until you start, nothing happens. And that's where most people fail. Not because they aren't smart enough, not because they aren't capable enough, but because they never start. Why do we fear starting? Think about this. Why do we hesitate? Why do we wait? Why do we hold ourselves back, even when we know what we want? It comes down to one thing: fear. Fear of failure. What if I try and I'm not good enough? Fear of judgment. What will people say? Fear of change. What if this disrupts my life? Fear of the unknown. What if I don't know what I'm doing? But here's the truth. Fear doesn't disappear over time. It doesn't fade if you wait. It only grows stronger the longer you delay. The more you hesitate, the more your mind finds excuses. The only way to silence fear: start anyway. Because the moment you take action, something incredible happens. You realize that fear was never as powerful as you thought. The power of momentum. Why action makes everything easier. Let's talk about momentum. Have you ever seen a heavy boulder sitting still? At first, it seems impossible to move, but the moment you push, even just a little, it starts to roll. Slowly at first. But then, momentum takes over. It moves faster and faster, and before you know it, it's unstoppable. That's exactly how action works. The first step is the hardest. The first move feels impossible, but once you do it, everything else becomes easier. The ancient Greeks understood this. They knew that once you start, you've already won half the battle. That's why the most successful people in history didn't wait to be ready. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They just started. Real life proof. Every success story starts with a first step. Look at the most successful people in the world. Steve Jobs started Apple in a tiny garage. J.K. Rowling was rejected 12 times before publishing Harry Potter. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Walt Disney was fired from his job before building an empire. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Do you think these people knew exactly what they were doing when they started? Number. They had doubts, they had fears, but they took the first step anyway. And that one step changed everything. The enemy of progress, waiting for perfection. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is, "I'll start when I'm ready." But here's the truth. You will never feel ready. You will never have the perfect plan. You will never have all the answers. You will never be 100% confident. And that's okay, because perfection is an illusion. People who wait for the perfect moment, they wait forever. The ones who succeed, they start before they're ready. They embrace the messiness of the beginning. So stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop telling yourself, maybe tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. How to finally start and never stop. If you're struggling to start something right now, here's what you need to do. 1. Make your first step ridiculously small. Want to write a book? Write 1 sentence today. Want to get fit? Do 5 push-ups. Want to start a business? Research for 10 minutes. The key: lower the pressure and just begin. 2. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation doesn't come before action. It comes after. Once you start, motivation follows. 3. Accept that failure is part of the process. You will make mistakes. You will struggle. You will fail. But failure isn't the end. It's just part of learning. Set a deadline for yourself. Give yourself a time limit. I will take my first step by tonight. No more thinking, just doing. Your time is now. Every dream you have, every goal you want to achieve, everything you've been putting off, it starts today. Not next year, not next month, not tomorrow. Today. Because once you take that first step, everything else will follow. The hardest part, just beginning. But remember, archi emisi bandos. The beginning is half of the whole. Start today, and you are already halfway there. If you felt inspired by our journey through the Hellenic horizons, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.